March 25th, 2022, here in Atlanta, Georgia, on a mostly cloudy day. The high today is supposed to be around, I don't know, upper 50s, lower 60s, and there is a breeze, although I'm sitting kind of down out of it, so hopefully you won't have too many gusts that will make it hard to hear. Also, for those of you that are college basketball fans, March Madness Sweet 16 started last night. Gonzaga, #1 team, lost to Arkansas. Duke beat Texas Tech. Arizona lost. They were a #1 seed. So it's exciting tonight. My Purdue Boilermakers, got my peon for Purdue. They play tonight at 7 o'clock against St. Peter's, who is a Cinderella team, which means that they were not expected to do well. So we are again planning to watch that tonight. Excited to see March Madness continue. And also what's continuing is my breakthrough tour. This coming Sunday is the Worldwide Deliverance Session that we do on YouTube, we do on Facebook. It starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And the goal of those sessions that we do once a month are to help people to, first of all, understand the correlation between when we get hurt and when we get wounded when we're growing up, and how it carries over in our lives and allows demonic spirits to torment us, give us thoughts that are negative, that cause us to not have peace, also can give us sickness and disease, and how Christians get affected by demonic spirits, and how we need to come out of agreement with the enemy so that they have no legal rights to torment us. And it's a wonderful thing. So we've had lots of people that have watched those over the last, I guess, 5 years now. In fact, yeah, it was 5 years ago in March of 2017 that I had started first doing these worldwide deliverance sessions. And then next Saturday, coming to Dallas, Fort Worth, yay, the Saturday, April the 2nd at the Marriott Dallas Las Colinas in Irving, Texas. Start time 7 p.m. And then April 8th and 9th will be in Waco, Texas at Axe Church, hosted by Walking in Freedom. That starts on a Friday night at 7 p.m. for one of our breakthrough events. And then we're doing a Saturday at 6 p.m. deliverance training. Get to learn more about how to do this yourself so that you can help others get set free and delivered, and hopefully change your whole family, change your challenges with striving and fighting and arguing in your family and your children and your spouse and so forth. And then April 30th, May 1st, Merkel, Texas, Fountain Gate Church, which is west of Dallas and Fort Worth. All right, topic of the day is the power of coming into agreement, both positive and negative. I think we all know about the Matthew 18 through 20 verse that says, "Assuredly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Again, I say to you that if 2 of you agree on earth concerning anything that they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them." But did you ever think about this, that if a person is, let's say that they're not completely aligned with the Lord, that they still have some wounds they need to get healed from, still have some demons they're listening to, and if they were to say something or suggest something to you and you come into agreement with that, and it's not really from the Lord, that can hurt you, that can actually cause you to make a decision in your life that is a bad decision instead of a good. You know, there's those also who have evil intentions in their hearts, who will act like they're godly, and their intentions are to come against you, trying to really damage you, maybe your reputation, maybe your business, maybe your ministry. You know, it's very hurtful, obviously, when you come into agreement with a person who has intentions that are not good, that they are not healed, they're not delivered. You know, some of them could be just flat out, they're going to be your enemy, especially if you don't do what they want. Now, of course, it's really sad if you're married to them, because now you're married to the enemy, you're sleeping with the enemy, and then they can say things and do things that can really hurt you because they're up close and personal. But how many of us have fathers or mothers that aren't healed or delivered? How many of us have gone to church with a pastor, pastor's wife, worship leaders, intercessors, even deliverance people that may say things to you that are not the truth, and then you come into agreement with it, and then it can hurt you. It can cause you to get off course and not doing what the Lord is wanting you to do. So I'm going to read this. Proverbs 13 through 21 says, "He who despises the word will be destroyed, but he who fears the commandment will be rewarded. The law of the wise is a fountain of life, to turn one away from the snares of death. Good understanding gains favor, but the way of the unfaithful is hard. Every prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool lays open his folly. A wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a faithful ambassador brings health. Poverty and shame will come to him who disdains correction, but he who regards a rebuke will be honored. A desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is an abomination to fools to depart from evil. He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. Evil pursues sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid." So it's extremely critical when you have a relationship with someone. It could be just a friend that you meet at church, and they appear to be good, appear to be godly, they appear to be someone that would be a benefit to you, and then you end up having a conversation with them. Sorry about the wind here. And then they actually have intentions that are not good. Maybe they want to use you. Maybe they want to use your business expertise. Maybe they want to use you because you make them appear good or better. Maybe you are being used because you are smart in whatever software and technology, and they want to leverage that. There's something that they want to gain from it. So they don't have true, altruistic intentions in their heart. So if you start to engage in having a friendship with them, and then ultimately you don't agree to do something that they want, then what potentially can happen is that they'll come against you, they'll lie about you, they'll say things to try to destroy you because they feel rejected or you're not going along with their plan. So I'm going to share an example that happened to me, and this is a couple of years ago. There was a lady that said that she had a dream about me, and she had a dream interpretation ministry. And she said, "Yeah, I see us doing ministry in New Orleans and other places," and she wanted to interview me. So she appeared to be on the up and up. I didn't know her from anybody. So I agreed and did a couple of like Facebook Lives with her. And then I started to discern some things that weren't good. I mean, one of the things is she came out against another person in ministry that had a dream interpretation ministry that was well respected. I didn't know her, but she told me that she was a Jezebel. She was bad. Of course, that's going to try to influence you and thinking, well, gee, maybe I need to stay away from that person and not talk to them and not trust them, which is essentially what it did. But over time, I started to discern that it seemed like her intentions weren't the best. She seemed very angry. She seemed very much wanting to expose like all these people in ministry. And I'm like, my gosh, it just doesn't seem like she has the heart of Christ. And so eventually I had talked to another person that knew her very well, and she explained to me some things that were not good. And so I started to pull away from that lady, distancing myself, because I'm like, okay, this isn't good. This is not a healthy relationship. So I started pulling away, and then she sent me some mean memes, pictures of people that were evil. And I was like, what is going on with this person? So I had to block this person in various different ways and to distance myself. And mind you, she had a lot of people that were in her ministry that would follow her in dream interpretation. Well, then ended up getting connected to another lady that turned out to be not a good person whatsoever, but I learned from that person how people operate in witchcraft, and this person was operating in witchcraft, and so I learned a lot from that. That wasn't a fun time to understand things. But then the other lady tried to come against me, and said, I'm going to expose you. And I'm like, seriously? I'm like, expose me for what? I'm like, I'm doing the Lord's work. And so ultimately the Lord spoke to me and said, I want you to speak back to that woman. That is not good. And because there were some things the Lord had that I knew about her, and I sent her one message back and said, listen, I know this about you, and this is not good. And so if I were you, I would keep my mouth shut and try and get healed and delivered. Of course, you're always taking the chance when you confront a person who has demonic spirits that they're not going to like it, and they're going to try and come up with a bunch of stuff and come against and so forth. But you have to do what God tells you to do, whether or not you might get into fear of how that person might respond. So I did what the Lord told me to do, and then I heard nothing from her after that, nothing. And the Lord said, that's exactly what I want you to do, is you speak the truth to a person. And ultimately they can choose if they want to get healed and delivered, they want to keep their demons and stuff, then that's their issue. But I could have come into agreement with this person, and they might have been able to grow my ministry because of the influence that they had. But they were not a good person. They were not a godly person. They were evil. And so I had to align myself with the Lord. I couldn't come into agreement with that. So it's really critical as to who you are friends with, who you listen to as well. For example, if a person threatens you to do what they want you to do, and you know that it's wrong, and you say no, then you have to trust the Lord that He will protect you. Think about David. David, of course, came up against Goliath. Goliath said, I'm going to kill you. And he had to trust the Lord that he would be protected, which he was, of course, and he ended up killing Goliath. Again, he was like a teenager compared to this huge, I think was he 9 feet tall, I think, something like that. The other thing is think about Saul. Saul was trying to come against David and to kill him as well. So David's probably thinking, here we go again. But Saul initially was an anointed king, but then he started going bad because he was jealous of David. And he had the choice to not come into agreement with the enemy. He could have said, oh, nope, David is a very valiant fighter, and okay, maybe they're saying he's killed his 10,000s, I've only killed my thousands. I'm not going to come into agreement with the enemy and get jealous and angry and want to kill him. He could have made that decision. He chose not to. And so ultimately he ended up consulting a medium. He was coming after David. In fact, I've been to Israel where David hid up on top of this huge mountain where you could oversee the Dead Sea. And there's a cave up there, and it's really hard to get up to. So ultimately Saul died and did not, unfortunately, listen to the Lord. So it's important when a person says something to you, you have to discern and ask the Lord, is this good to listen to? Do I want to come into agreement with this person, or should I not? Because it's extremely important. Same thing, think about it in a business. Let's say that you are going into business, and maybe you're going to have a person that's going to be a huge influencer in your business. If you partner up with a person who has aligned their life with the world and not with the Lord, then they're going to make decisions that are going to hurt you ultimately. So you have to be extremely discerning and aware. Gee, do I want to listen to a person that is not of the Lord, that is not living a godly or pure life, or do I want to listen to someone that is of the Lord? So think about, for example, Job. Remember Job, all these bad things started happening, and then he started getting advice from his friends that was not good, was not wise, was not wisdom, and he needed to not listen, not to come into agreement with it. Same thing, unfortunately, his wife, this is Job 2:9. Then his wife said to him, "Do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die." If he would have listened in that case to his wife, that wouldn't have been a good thing if he would have cursed God and died. So it's extremely important to discern where you're getting advice from, who you're listening to, if it's from the Lord or if it's not. Because ultimately, if you align yourself with a person that is not from the Lord and you buy into their advice or listen to them or come under them, it could cost you. You think about Ananias and Sapphira. I talked about this, I think yesterday or the day before. Ananias and Sapphira, Ananias came up with a plan, said, hey, we're going to sell this land, but we're not going to give all of it to Peter. We're going to keep part of it back, and then we're going to lie about it too, if we have to. And they did, and they died. So she agreed, along with her husband, to lie, and it cost her her life. So the power of coming into agreement, both positive and negative, is very powerful. So I remember another teaching part of my ministry is when I ended up connecting to this guy who said he was a multimillionaire, who said he had lots of, like 100 different home churches in central Indiana, or throughout Indiana. And he said he used to be a diamond CEO, and he came up with all these stories, and he brought together a whole bunch of people in ministry, and we all listened to him, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to have you assigned to this, you're going to do that, you're going to be in charge of this, and I'm going to pay you guys full time. And it just sounded really good. And then ultimately, after a couple of months, started to discern that he was lying about everything. I mean, he even had his sweet wife kind of cooperating with him. And I'm like, my gosh, this guy is like psycho. And I asked the Lord, I'm like, Lord, why didn't you warn me about this guy? And the Lord said, well, because it's part of your training. You needed to see this, that there are going to be people at this level, demonically, that will try to come into your ministry, try to partner up with you, and you're going to have to discern it and say no, because it's going to be unhealthy if you do. So the power of coming into agreement can be extremely positive if it's with the right person who is godly, who's not of the world, or it can be devastating to you. Either way, think about Elijah. Elijah did this great thing. He ended up calling the fire down from heaven. He ended up having, amazing wonders that he did, and then he killed the prophets of Jezebel. And then after that, what happened? He would have thought, okay, I'm the man. He would have probably thought that, hey, I just had fire come down from heaven, and I killed 850, I think, prophets of Jezebel. So 1 Kings 19:1-4 says, and Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, also how he had executed all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and ran for his life, went to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree, and he prayed that he might die, and said, it is enough. Now, Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my father's. So when the words of Jezebel came to him, what did he do? He believed it, that she was going to do that, and he got into fear. So then fear came into control of him, and he ran. And the Lord's like, what are you doing? You just had the fire come down from heaven. We just did a wonderful thing, a miracle upon miracle, and now you're afraid, because he believed the words of Jezebel. Think about Nehemiah. Nehemiah was building this wall, and he had people that came against him that spoke words trying to cause him to have fear, to stop doing what he was doing. It says here, Nehemiah 6:1-16. Now it happened with Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem, the Arab, and the rest of our enemies heard that I had rebuilt the wall, and that there were no breaks left in it, though at that time I had not hung the doors and the gates, that Sanballat and Geshem sent to me, saying, come, let us meet together with the villages in the plain of Oh no, but they thought to do me harm. So I sent messengers to them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease while I leave it and go down to you? But they sent me this message 4 times, and I answered them in the same manner. Then Sanballat sent his servant to me as before, the 5th time, with an open letter in his hand. In it was written, it is reported among the nations, and Geshem says that you and the Jews plan to rebel. Therefore, according to these rumors, you are rebuilding the wall, that you may be their king. And you have also appointed prophets to proclaim concerning you at Jerusalem, saying, there is a king in Judah. Now these matters will be reported to the king. So come, therefore, and let us consult together. Then I sent to him, saying, no such things as you say are being done, but you invent them in your own heart. For they all were trying to make us afraid, saying their hands will be weakened in the work, and it will not be done. So that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to give you words or give you circumstances that look bad and get you to agree with them and to buy into it and to believe that that is the truth in order to stop you from accomplishing and doing what the Lord wants. That's why it's extremely, extremely important that you're hearing from the Lord, that you are healed and delivered, so that you can discern who is of the Lord and who is not. You know, there's a lot of people that do good works, that give tithes, that come to church, that will act like they're nice, like they're godly, but then behind closed doors, they're a completely different person. And if their intentions are negative to come against you, and if you don't do what they want, they're going to spread lies and rumors and so forth, then what do? Do you bow down to their demons? Do you submit to their demons? Do you get into fear? Or are you going to say, no, I'm not going to have anything to do with that? So it's going to be pretty much impossible not to have some type of relationships with people who are ungodly, who have, if you come into agreement with them, it's going to be a negative thing. But understand that you're going to try to limit your inner circle of friends and family, hopefully, to those who are aligned with you. Again, we all know people that are just churchgoers. They're not living a godly life, and most of their friends and or family will probably be of the world as well. So would they be a good candidate to be a part of your inner circle? No, absolutely not. So that's why it's so critical to, of course, pursue inner healing and deliverance, but then not coming into agreement with anyone who is of the enemy. Because if you do, then you are going to be, of course, of the world, and that's not a good thing. So Matthew 10:34-39 says, do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me, and he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. So in other words, if you're going to truly be a Christ follower with the fruit of the Spirit as evidence, walking in humility, walking in sexual purity, then if you align yourself in friendship with anyone that is not of the Lord, doesn't have intentions to do that, you know, is looking at pornography, sexual images, ungodly things, then that's going to taint you, because they need to pursue inner healing and deliverance. Now, it's okay to have a distant type of relationship where you're trying to help them to get healed and delivered and pursue that. But if you have a closer relationship and you partner with them, you listen to them, you know, if you don't, and what will happen is they'll slowly try to get you, to influence you to agree with them. And then that will affect you negatively in your life, you know, if you're trying to do what God is calling you to do. So it's extremely important to not listen to words from anyone that are coming from the enemy perspective. I'll say this also, I say this all the time, or commonly. If a person that is not of the Lord, that is angry or hateful to you and so forth, if they are trying to send you a message, or they've sent you a message, whether it be a text, an email, a voice message, as soon as you discern that what they're saying is of the enemy, is evil, is not godly, what you need to do is to stop listening and stop reading it, and then block them. You know, I will not listen to someone that I know has demonic spirits or evil intentions. I will not read the entire letter. In fact, that one lady that was in Dream stuff, she had written this message, and I read like the first, I don't know, half of the first sentence of this paragraph. I knew it was evil, and I did not read anything else. I blocked her. I emailed or deleted it and blocked her after the Lord had me respond back with a message, and it shut her down. But ultimately, the goal of the enemy and demonic spirits is to get you to engage with them, and then out of fear, they can control you. You know, had Elijah not read the whole message of Jezebel, he wouldn't have gotten into fear. If he would have cut it off after the first 3 words and said, okay, this is going to the negative, you know, he just had fire come down from heaven. Do you not think that the Lord would protect him? I'm pretty sure that God would. But he got into fear. So it's so critical for us to not come into agreement with anything that is of the enemy, whether it's your thoughts, your feelings, and again, getting your soul wounds healed, getting delivered from the demons is paramount to being able to discern, because there's so many people that will think that they're hearing from the Lord when they're not. And if they're hearing from anything other than the Lord, and they're hearing a lie from another person or for a demonic spirit, then don't listen to it. Hey, the sun's out. Wow, it's a beautiful day. The birds are chirping. Yesterday I saw a bunch of turtles, like right over here. Like it was like a turtle island with a gob of turtles on it. So, alrighty, I think that's it. So, go Purdue, boiler up tonight, 7 o'clock, CBS against St. Peter's. I will let you guys go and have a great weekend. Have some fun. Enjoy your life.